Check this out.
All right, so the next book, and I'm going to show you a picture here. Yes, I read The Young Elites. I enjoyed The Young Elites. People said it was really boring, was hard for them to get into, but I really felt as though that was a good book. It was absolutely insane. I mean, literally, the main character was crazy. I was like, and it was awesome. This pretty much, you have no idea what The Young Elites is about. It's a story of a young girl who grew up in a time where there was a disease that either killed you or you lived. And if you lived, you were marked for life and magically end up with some powers. And if you end up with these powers, you were considered abnormal and an abomination. And these people who were these abominations came together and they're called the Young Elites. And people will hunt them, track them down. They're unmarriable. And so they're trying to rally together for their rights and be able to walk out without having to be ashamed of who they are. However, they also are evil too. Not all of them, but some of them. And so, of course, somebody's got to want to overthrow the government. It has a very V for Vendetta feel to it, with a little bit of throne of glass. So I do recommend this book. This one I listened to on the audiobook, so the audiobook was pretty decent. I think that reading it as a book would be a little difficult. Getting caught up in the names are very mouthy. I don't know how to say that, but that's the only word I can come up with. However, I really do think that you would enjoy The Young Elites. Just get through the first couple of chapters. It'll flow. You'll be terrified as I was. You'll love getting into the story. You'll have your own favorite character. You hear the perspective of different characters, but really it's the female lead who's my favorite personally. But anyway, The Rose Society is out. I do plan on continuing on with the series. I'll probably do so next year. So if you read it, tell me what you think. If you liked it, let me know. Put it down below. Funny enough, the first book that I read for the month was Cress. Yes. I love Cress. It is way better than Scarlet. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to say it. Like, I liked Scarlet. I loved Scarlet. But it was like trash compared to Cress. Not to say that anything Marissa Meyer writes is trash, but Scarlet got on my nerves, but not Cress. I thought she was adorable, okay? And her and Throne were absolutely adorable. And the book's amazing. And when people describe this book, they just say, oh, you know, Cinder is a storytelling retelling of Cinderella, and Scarlet is the storytelling retelling of Red Riding Hood, and Cress y'all, okay. If you haven't read the books, I don't think you're getting a good grasp. This is all one story, all right? They all live in the same world. It's this whole galactic thing that involves the moon and planet Earth and all this international stuff that's going on. It's not like they're separate ideas. It just so happened that the main characters is like Cinder, Scarlet, and Cress, and they have representation or depictions of these storytell characters that we love, such as Cinderella, of course, and Red Riding Hood, and Snow White, and blah, 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 so forth and so on. That is what they mean. Because I really feel like when people are explaining it, they're not really giving you a glimpse of what it's actually about. And it's about a girl who worked her butt off. She was a mechanic. And she was hated by everyone because she was part cyborg, but people still loved her because she was the best mechanic in town. And then something happens to her sister. And of course it's blamed on her, but something happens to her sister and she enters into this testing to help find a cure for her sister. And when they're testing her, they find out more about who she is, and craziness ensues. That's Cinder in a nutshell. And then Scarlet is from the perspective of Scarlet, who's still in the same world as Cinder, but just in Paris instead of Beijing, China, like Cinder. And what happened in the first book has affected her, but she just doesn't know how. And her grandmother is missing, no one is helping her. Then she runs into Wolf, who just so happens to be a key to a lot of her issues. And craziness yet again ensues. Then we have Cress. And Cress is the story of a young girl who lives up in space, who watches all this, who's behind the scenes of a lot of things that happen to Earth as far as technology and surveillance and letting the enemy know of what's going on, but she doesn't want to be there. And so she reaches out to the right people, and those people come and get her. And when they get her, that's when it goes down. So, should you be reading the Lunar Chronicles? Yes, you should be. Alright, next. Last but not least, I read, yet again, the beginning of a new series, The Raven Boys. The Raven Boys was not what I expected. I honestly thought it was going to have a lot more action in it. I really wish that I really got more information on really what the plot was about, because I thought that it was going to be like full of this and that and action. And it did have that around the end. But the book is really like a murder mystery book, more so on mystery with a little bit of fantasy. I do feel as though the second book will have more fantasy. Have y'all ever seen Practical Magic? I love that movie. And you know that movie had magic, but it was really just the mystery of things that were going on, which is what really led the story or whatever. And I really feel like that's what was going on. Like, we wanted to know more about Gansey. You know, we wanted to know more about why he was doing what he was doing, and why was he looking for the king, and what's this thing that's going on. Like, we wanted answers. We didn't really weren't driven to care more about the action. We wanted to know more about the characters and seeing, you know, poor Adam and everything that he was going through, his family. And I really love this book. You really could feel each character. I never really read too many books where characters are abused like that, unless it's like over the top fairy tale abuse. But this one kind of, you know, struck home with the way that some of these characters were dealing. They had real problems that they were dealing with, and I really appreciate how that book depicted and how this book brought about a lot of how people live and how we make friends and the way we see the world, even though it's supposed to be like a fantasy book and magic, but it had a very contemporary feel. It was like the most contemporary fantasy book I've ever read. That's it, you guys. I read 11 books this month. I really enjoyed this month, and stay tuned to find out what I'm reading in December. All right, you guys, I love y'all. Bye.